And the reviews are pouring in for Omid Scobie's new book, Endgame, Inside the Royal Family and the Monarchy's Fight for Survival. That's the title.
So catchy.
I think we should just call it Endgame and leave it at that. Anyway, so, well, a lot of controversy about all of this, and Scobie has been forced to deny that he names the royal accused of questioning Archie's skin colour. Apparently there are two royals in this one. This is because the Dutch edition of the book was taken off the shelves when they have erroneously printed names, we are told.
Well, let's speak to the royal commentator, Michael Cole, who joins us this morning. Michael, good morning to you. This must be an absolute nightmare for the royal family. You just can't escape it. It's everywhere this morning for the second day in a row.
Yeah, good morning, Isabel. Good morning, Eamon. You've summarised this story brilliantly, of course. The question must be, was it a publishing error in Holland or was it a publicity stunt? If it was the latter, that would be disgraceful because the charge of racism is a pernicious one. It's easy to make and it's extremely difficult to refute because you have to prove a negative. You may remember, Isabel, that this all began in the interview that Oprah Winfrey conducted with Meghan Markle last year. And during that, Meghan said, revealed that somebody had spoken to her husband, Prince Harry, and had questioned the colour of the skin of any children Harry and Meghan may have in the future. Now, you remember that Miss Oprah Winfrey then said, what? This stagey dropping of the jaw. And of course, one has to remember that Oprah Winfrey and both Meghan were both actresses in their former life. Then Prince Harry, who we see here in happier times, he came onto the set and he looked very embarrassed when this matter was raised. And he said that he would always remember what happened, but he would never, ever name who was involved. Now, this new book, the second book, has doubled down. Not just, as Eamon said, not one person within the royal circle raising this skin colour question, but two. One has to wonder when the law of diminishing returns kicks in. And the other question must be, who is Omid Scobie, who we're talking about? Well, he's 42, although at one time he claimed to be 6 years younger. He was born in Wales. His mother is Iranian, his father is Welsh. He was brought up in Oxford, went to fee-paying schools, studied journalism, and he wrote gossip pieces about celebrities and royals. And then, of course, he met the Sussexes, or they met him. Everything he writes is seen through a Sussex prism. He says he's not the spokesperson, megaphone, or mouthpiece for the Sussexes. But in this book, and there we see it in all its loveliness, the only people who come out unscathed are the Sussexes.
Right. Well, that begs the question, Michael, doesn't it? You know, if the royal couple, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, would like to distance themselves from this, or indeed, you know, squash it, they could do very easily. All they have to do is say, we had nothing to do with this, we disapprove, and it's done, it's gone. But silence, do you think that's speaking volumes?
I think that's a very good point. It's a crucial point. Without any trouble at all, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex in their hilltop fortress out in California could distance themselves. They could deny this. They could say that they were not involved and that they do not hold the views that Mr. Omid Scobie is proposing, because essentially what he's saying in this book, and Eamon read the whole title of it, he's saying that the present incumbents of the royal family are really unworthy. They should stand aside and preside over the end of a monarchy that has gone on pretty well uninterrupted for more than 1,000 years. That's what he's saying. Now, who is Omid Scobie? Why are we talking about him? Well, he's a brilliant publicist because he's on almost every front page this morning, and we're devoting valuable time on your brilliant station to talking about him. These matters are very difficult. The book has been described as being poisonous, vicious, venomous, nasty, and all of that stuff. And it's difficult for the royal family to respond to it. They will choose, I'm sure, not to respond to it. But the good point, which is the one you made, Isabel, is that the Sussexes, if they cared about their family, would actually put a stop to this.
What about the Waleses? I mean, we talk about the Sussexes and the relationship between father and son. What about the relationship between the father and the Prince of Wales, William, with this one? Scobie suggests that they have been brought closer together, with Harry being a common enemy for them.
Well, that I don't believe that is true. I mean, the king will never say never. Harry is his son, and he will never be cast out. There's always a place for the prodigal son in any scenario, in any family. That's the tragedy of it all, Eamon, because the person who would be most upset about this is no longer with us, sadly. Princess Diana would be absolutely, she would be so sad to see her sons at loggerheads with no hope of any reconciliation, not after all the things that have been said and done, and all gratuitous, all unnecessary, all horrible, because there are people out there struggling, and they're looking at the Sussexes with all their privilege. They're good-looking people. They've got two healthy, happy, beautiful children. They've got more money than we can even consider. They've got people at their beck and call. They've got a life of unimaginable privilege, and yet they seem to find fault with everything, and it's one long complaint. Well, it's not very attractive to ordinary people. People have to pick their sides.
Yeah.
But if
I just wanted to ask one final question. You were asking earlier, who is Omid Scobie? And I Googled him and looked at pictures of him, and he looks unrecognisable from when he was growing up. And it does strike me, somebody who is so fixated and appears to be making a lot of money off the back of hypothesising over what colour somebody's skin was, there's lots of speculation that he himself has undergone skin lightening treatment, which I think is a curious twist in all of this.
That's an extremely important question. I mean, when we're talking about racism with Oprah Winfrey, I mean, she goes on air with about a pound of white powder on her face, as far as I can see. But the thing I did find out about Omid Scobie is that he apparently lives in a flat in East London with a French bulldog. Now, we don't know the name of the bulldog, but perhaps if it's French, perhaps it's Max, after Maximilien Robespierre, the French revolutionary who presided over the death of King Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette. We don't know. But here we are talking about him. But I think, to go back to your point, Isabel, and I think it's the crucial one, the Sussexes, if they have any sense of duty to the royal family, within which they are still HRH bearing that title, they should take steps very urgently and very definitely to say that this is not the view, their view, that is being expressed through this book, through Mr. Scobie.
Okay.
Michael Cole, royal expert. Thank you. That's fascinating listening to you, Michael.